All right. Well, good morning, everybody. It's 11 o'clock. We like to stay on time here a little bit. I know we'll probably have some folks rolling in here as we go. And if you would, check in on the chat, make sure you can hear and see everything. I want to thank all my counterparts who are on here as well. This is the Restore Rural Business Series. Technically, this is the second one. We're being sponsored by Rural Lisk. They are providing some funding to really help businesses in rural North Carolina. And they've been doing this across the country to recover from COVID quicker. And one of the things we decided to do is put together this series of webinars specifically targeting the most rural of North Carolina. And these are the counties, and you could see the small business center map where we are, but we are the counties that have 15 under populations throughout the state. I'm not going to go through every single one of them again, but I do want to make sure I thank all of our other directors, and I did that by doing this here so you can see who you would need to contact if you're in those areas to make sure that you're getting hooked up with the right person. And in most cases, you probably already know who that is, but if not, these are the folks to make sure you contact them at your local community college at the Small Business Center for each one of them. For those of you who don't know, and I usually try to make sure we get this spiel out there, the Small Business Center Network, we're at all 58 of the community colleges throughout the state, if you're not familiar with us. And we are an economic development tool of the state. We are funded through the General Assembly. And you need to take advantage of all these webinars, seminars, and of course, one-on-one counseling that we do in your location. So stop my video here. And this series started, we did a little kickoff in January, but we're doing every other month. We have Deb Brown and her partner, Becky from Savior Town. Next month, they'll be with us. And we're doing the second Tuesday each month. April 6th, she'll be here for getting more customers together. She was here last month. We were talking about our topic for next month. And the other thing to think about, whether you get it to me or any of the other directors, is if you have we haven't planned every single one of these out. If you have a topic, a speaker, somebody that you would be interested in for your rural area or your particular business, let us know. We'd love to make sure we're addressing. That's one of the things that we try to do, is make sure we're addressing your needs. And then in the following months, like I said, we have them back. Becky McCrae will be here in June and August for other ones. And if you're interested in signing up, make sure you go ahead and even if you just want to email, if you've been to any of the webinars already, we'd love to see you, and rather you sign up and get the information and get on with us when we can. Of course, we'll make sure you can use the chat. People have been checking in. That's great. Keep doing that. But you can ask your questions as we go. One of the things we'll do here differently that we've done last month was we do a follow-up mastermind brain trust call, and our presenters will be here. If you have questions that didn't get answered, or a question that pops up after the fact, which a lot of times happens, you're sitting on one of these webinars and it's recorded and you don't get to come back. But we decided we're going to try this experiment. So we'll be on free conference call this Thursday at 11. And of course, it's just a call, so there's no real technology. All you got to do is get on your phone. So that's a nice thing about that one. And make sure you take advantage of those. And then if you want to take a look at all the information, we're uploading all of the after ones. If you missed any of the previous ones, you go to this website, bit.ly/restore rural NC, and it's capital NC, it's case specific, where you can register for anything coming up and see the stuff that's happened already, including all the recorded versions. So I will let my counterparts fight over who's going to do our introductions here. Ginger, I guess you get to go first.
Awesome. I was going to say.
I put ladies first. I put Corina first. So I'll let you do the introduction there.
There you go. Thank you. Well, Corina, first, thank you for agreeing to be here today and participating in the Restoring Rural Business series for us. And I'm going to let you help me with the pronunciation of your last name, please.
It's just easier to say Corina, but it's Ruffieux.
That's what I was going to do, but everyone may want to, for reference. So Corina is the executive director for the Elizabeth City, Pasquotank County Tourism Development Authority, also known as Visit Elizabeth City. She most recently came to us from Williamsburg, Virginia, where she spent the majority of her life and career in Connecticut. She has over 20 years of tourism management and destination marketing experience and is only one of 18 professionals in the world to earn their certified destination management executive credentials in 2018. Corina, during her time in Williamsburg, served on the Williamsburg Area Destination Marketing Committee and earned 5 Adrian Awards in 2015, 16, and 17 in recognition of the best in travel, marketing, advertising, and public relations. Through a variety of public speaking opportunities across New England and Virginia, including the Virginia Association of Chamber of Commerce Executives Institute, Vermont Tourism Industry Conference, and Christopher Newport University, Corina has encouraged and inspired thousands of up and coming leaders and colleagues within the travel and tourism sector. Her marketing and tourism leadership here in Elizabeth City alone has generated enormous impacts for the region. Through networking, marketing, and strategic planning, recent achievements in Corina's career include the launch of the highly successful Christmas in Elizabeth City campaign, landing our first ever national headline for Visit Elizabeth City through strategic public relations with Forbes, Travel and Leisure, MSN, the New York Post, and more. And most importantly, for our small business center here in Elizabeth City, North Carolina, where we cover seven counties in our service area, Corina has been instrumental in forming a partnership with our small business center that we have not seen in the past, where we have been able to come together, finding different avenues of marketing and also able to serve our service area more efficiently by partnering on several webinars and other adventures that are designed to help our entrepreneurs throughout Northeastern North Carolina. Corina, thank you for coming and being with us today.
Thanks, Ginger. Very glad to be here.
Tiffany, you're up.
Sorry, I was on mute and I was going to start talking about Nick. So I have the distinct pleasure of recognizing and introducing Nick Breedlove. He serves as the executive director of the Jackson County TDA, located about an hour west of Asheville. This county is comprised of Cashers, Silva, Dillsboro, and Cullowhee, and Western Carolina University. The Jackson County TDA leverages $1 million budget to generate $207 million in visitor spending a year. Under Breedlove's leadership, the TDA was awarded the coveted Tourism Office of the Year designation by the Southeast Tourism Society. Breedlove received the Travel and Tourism Research Association's nationwide award for Rising Star in the tourism research field. He's received his travel marketing professional certification along with the highly sought after certified destination management executive credential. He is certified in crisis management, communications, and recovery strategy for destination marketing. And a couple of interesting things about Nick. He's a native of Jackson County. He was formerly the youngest elected mayor in North Carolina. He's also a graduate of the Rural Center, the North Carolina Rural Center's READY, the Economic Development Institute. He's a very active community leader. For those of you that are on this call that are from my service area or near, you know that. He's a founding member of the Silver Rotaries Club's satellite office. He serves on the board of directors on the marketing committee for the Blue Ridge Parkway Association and serves on a number of other boards and organizations, including the Southeast Tourism Society, the Board of Advisors for Western Carolina University's Hospitality and Tourism Program, and so many more. I'm not going to, it's a lot because he's very active and involved in this community, and we're thankful to have him here. Him and Corina both, as we listen to these bios, I think it's clear that we've we brought the heavy hitters as it pertains to tourism marketing and what we can learn as business owners from these people. So I'm really excited to have them join us today. So I'm going to turn it over. I don't know, Nick and Corina, have you decided which one of you are going to go first?
Yeah, so good morning and thank you, Tiffany. I appreciate that introduction. I'm going to share my screen and begin our presentation. So I know we're what stands between you guys and lunch, so we definitely don't want to delay that. Let's see. Tiffany, will you give me a thumbs up if you can see this?
Good.
Good deal. So the title of the presentation is Tourism Trends and Tips for 2021 and Beyond. And you know, this is the description. I believe this was sent out in advance, but we really hope for you to take away at least one usable, if not more, practice or idea from this and how to market to post-COVID-19 consumers, and also how to rebound and recover this year. We've already done introductions, so I'm going to let Corina start here.
Thanks, Nick. So for those of you who may not have heard of us, we are Elizabeth City in Pasquotank County. We're in northeastern North Carolina. We are a Tier 1 county, and we are riverfront and have a walkable downtown. So we have a lot to offer. And I think Ginger would probably agree with this statement. We are very much on the cusp of a renaissance with incredible things happening. As a matter of fact, today's Tuesday. Tomorrow, we have our very first wine bar opening, and we have our brewery expanding both tomorrow. So we've got 2 openings just in one day, which is super exciting. So that's a brief introduction to our community. If you haven't been, please come visit and check us out. We will welcome you with open arms.
Thank you. And this is my beautiful county. We're comprised of several towns: Silva, Cashers, Cullowhee, Dillsboro, and Cherokee. That's our historic downtown in the bottom center. And we're a very rural county, lots of mountains, lots of terrain, but also lots of beautiful places to explore. And during COVID-19, people did just that. So we're going to begin now with the state of the travel industry, and Corina is going to present this session. And Corina, if you'll just tell me when to advance, I'll go forward.
Sounds perfect. So in our world, research sometimes sounds boring and overwhelming, especially when you're a small business owner and you don't have a lot of time. I would say one of the best things that came out of COVID is the plethora of free travel and tourism related research, which I know Nick and I both glabbed onto, and we use that day in and day out. And it really helps you with your messaging, with how do you talk to consumers, and even how do we talk to our businesses. So I'm going to start with this one slide, and this research has been happening literally for a year now. So well, there's a typo on that slide, but last March, April, May, and October, destinations analysts asked travel consumers across the US, give me one word that tells me how you feel about travel right now. And you can see that basically for the entire calendar year of 2020, people didn't feel very good about travel at all. But if we jump ahead to our most recent research, go ahead, Nick. This is how people feel about it as of the end of January. Huge shift in how people are feeling. We see positive words: optimistic, happy, excited, fun, great. This is super good, not just for the travel industry, but for all of us, even shopping locally, getting out and dining locally, how people feel about traveling, whether it's to your neighboring town, across the state, or across the country. We need people to feel good or they won't do it. Let's go to the next slide. So this is different research, but very similar. People are still, this is research that again came out at the end of January. 46% of people are still not traveling because of COVID. So even though we're in 2021, even though we're seeing the light on the horizon, it's still impacting us. And again, that is important to know as we move ahead. But the good news is 70% of people say the vaccine is going to positively impact when I travel and that I will travel. So when we hear news like Johnson & Johnson's vaccine was just approved and they're going to be distributing it in North Carolina, I believe, later this week or next week, incredibly positive for all of us. As the vaccine gets out there, more people will start moving around their communities. Go ahead. I like this one. Again, there's a lot of good in this research that we're sharing today. When I was sharing this research with my board last May and June, not so much. But 91% of people miss traveling. 91%. Again, travel is a gold mine to all of our towns because it's people who don't live here who come visit our town. They go to our restaurants, they go to our shops, they go to our attractions, and they spend money, which is super awesome. 8 out of 10 travelers are already planning to take a trip in the next 6 months. Super positive. Go ahead. And this is my favorite one. This is where they're going to go. The number one place they want to go is small towns, villages, or rural destinations. So for all of us on this call, be ready. We will see more travel and more visitation in 2021 and probably going forward than we have in the past. Why do people choose rural travel? This is kind of interesting for all of us to know. Peace and quiet. Super close second, scenic beauty. I think Nick's pictures take the awards on scenic beauty. Escaping from crowds. Of course, we've all, after spending the last year at home, we're all a little averse to crowds right now. Relaxing atmosphere and charm and ambiance. So these are all important things that people are choosing to travel for rural. So make sure your messaging showcases these points. If you're going to show a picture of people, it's not a crowded picture. It's got a few people in it. Show that relaxing atmosphere. Show scenic beauty. It will make more people want to come to your business. This is when people tend to travel, or are planning rather to travel. Not a surprise that February, March, and April are a little bit on the low side, but we see May, June, July, nice climb up there. So we are looking to a pretty decent summer season. Pretty normal decline through the fall, at least for those of us that are more on the coast. The Western destinations might see different trends there. And then Christmas. So I do want to talk for a minute about safety and COVID. And this question is specific to rural destinations. So this is really important for all of us. Even though the vaccine is out there, even though it's making people more inclined to travel and get out of their house, 56% of travelers still say safety concerns in rural destinations is important to them. And only 19% say it's not important. So keep that in mind. We're going to talk about safety in a second. I throw this in, it's Expedia. They do a national, I kind of like the title of this, vacation deprivation study. Shocking, Americans are going through vacation deprivation. But this study was just released. Very good news in this as well. Again, this is source after source after source with similar positive stories for us. In 2020, people only took on average 8 vacation days, which is really horrific when you think of, especially if you compare us to our European and Asian counterparts. But in 2021, Americans are already planning on taking at least 13 vacation days. So big increase. Days off means days out to spend money in our towns. Where do they want to go? Outdoorsy places, small towns, or off the beaten path places. Again, setting all of us up for success. So I had mentioned safety. Again, this is yet another resource. And you might look at this slide and go, well, duh, of course 90% of Americans are more conscious of germs now than we were a year ago. But it is important to remind you that travelers are thinking of these things. And 70% cite how a travel brand responds to cleanliness impacts their decision to go or not go. And that's not just travel brands, that applies to all businesses. So I'll end with what can you do as a business about this one thing? Go ahead, Nick. Oops. It doesn't want to stick on that slide. There we go. As a local business, specifically within North Carolina, if you have not yet gone to Count on Me NC, and we have that link later on in the presentation for you as a resource, countonmenc.org. It is a state-sponsored initiative that basically just says, I pledge to do my best to keep my staff safe, my business clean, and my visitors and my guests safe. So please take a moment to do that. And then in your emails to your visitors or your consumers, in your social channels, take a picture that shows that your staff are actually implementing those things. One of the items that Ginger mentioned that we partnered with the SBC on is we actually created a series of videos promoting our local businesses who had really embraced Count on Me NC and safety, which allowed us to give more attention to those businesses, and then those businesses get more customers. So this is all about economics. You want to see more customers in your door? Do what the research says, do what the customers say they want, and promote this safety. And there's a platform for you to do it. I think Nick and I have probably both taken the Count on Me NC class. It's like, what, 6 minutes? It doesn't take long at all. Well, if you're a restaurant, it takes a little longer. Have your staff do it and embrace that so you get more customers in your door, because that's what we're all about, is making your business successful.
Thank you, Corina. And I can attest to that. I went to a restaurant last week, and just the presence of wipes on the table that you can wipe down your own table if you choose to, just for your own peace of mind. Those visual cues give people such confidence in dining out, and that's critical right now. So the next section, I'm going to start us off with adapting during COVID-19. And how we adapted was mainly through partnerships and collaboration. I can tell you from day one, we're what's considered a destination marketing organization. They go by different names, TDAs, DMOs. They're all the same thing. We promote the destination. Some places they're called CVBs. We started communicating from day one about how to implement a crisis recovery plan. We were already focused on recovery in early March and what that would look like for our industry. But we had more conversations than I ever recall us having about the future of our destination, about how we can assist our small businesses. So those conversations were critical, and I hope that those sort of collaboration and partnerships continue forward. If we have that sort of collaboration, I think we're on a far better footing. We also adapted to the consumer expectations. Like Corina said, the hand sanitizer, the wipes, the paper menus, that's what consumers expect. The number one thing that allowed our businesses to still thrive were creating online ordering websites. We're a rural county, so we don't have the large chain restaurants. So a lot of our small mom and pop stores, they didn't have online ordering for their restaurants. That's changed a lot. Now I can go to our non-chain restaurant website and order a barbecue sandwich with hush puppies on the side and exactly what I want, and it's ready in 10 minutes. So some of those holdovers still continue to this day to be a success. But the key thing is, if you have restaurants that don't have an online ordering system, work with them to create that. They're going to get a lot more business going forward.
And I'm going to jump in there and say, give a plug to the SBC Center, because that's exactly what they can help our businesses do. So if you're a small business and you're going, Nick, you're crazy. I don't have time. I can't run my business. I can't open an online store. Well, go to Ginger, go to Tiffany, go to Todd, and they will help you do it. That's what they're there for.
Exactly. And then, lastly, our businesses, our shops, our retail, they turned into marketers, which was amazing. Most of them, they'll throw up a Facebook post once in a while, and now they became true marketers because their livelihoods depended on it. Before, it was sort of put something on social media once a week, and then they realized they had to do social media going forward. So let's take a look at consumer habits. And these are some habits that we'll see going forward. So everybody in the small business center network probably recognizes this icon. It's Google My Business, and it is the most underutilized tool that can help a business thrive. And all too often it's forgotten, but let's take a look at some quick stats. Google has 90% of the search engine market share worldwide. They receive over 63,000 searches a second, and the average person does 3 to 4 searches every single day. Now, I'm a destination, so we have our own destination website with information about restaurants, trip itineraries, you name it. But I went on a trip to Hilton Head probably last fall, and the first thing I did was open up Yelp for restaurants and open up Google to search for things near me. So even though we have these great websites with lots of information, people are going to go to the easiest source, which is Google. And if a business's information is wrong on there, that's a non-starter. If they go to the business and it's closed on Tuesday, but their Google listing says they're open, that's a big deal. So this is what the front end looks like of a business listing. And my big thing is making sure that it's up to date. So now Apple's unveiled something. It's probably been a few years now, but it's heavily integrated into most cars now. It's called, excuse me, Apple CarPlay. So when you plug your phone in a car, you get these nice icons on the screen. If your car doesn't have it, all the new cars are incorporating this. And one of these icons is Google Maps, same for Apple Maps. But why it matters about your business information being correct is because when somebody plugs in your business location, Google Maps now shows a pin on the map exactly where your business is located. So if they're trying to navigate and the pin is in the wrong place, or there's businesses that are closed that are still there, it's worth taking time to clean those up, and it's super simple. So this is an example from my town in Dillsboro. We have one barbecue restaurant called the Haywood Smokehouse in Dillsboro. And you see these black arrows. On Google, there were actually 2 businesses labeled Haywood Smokehouse. One is directly on the highway, which I'm not even sure how you would park there. The other is in the right place. So just taking time to deduplicate listings, update the business hours, make sure that the website and information is correct. It's critical to being successful in 2021. In the lower right hand of my screen, you'll see when you click on a listing, you have the option to suggest and edit. So even the small business centers or anybody on the street can edit listings on Google. It's preferred that the business owner do it, but actually, if you as a small business center want to take this on, you can actually go and say, hey, this business is out of business now, or this marker's in the wrong spot. And Google will actually let you edit those listings, which is great. So cleaning up what your destination looks like on Google is huge for your destination success. The same with Apple. So people tell me all the time, my Google listing is right, but Apple has the wrong information for me. So Apple is an entirely different map system. But the thing is, you can fix both of them. What I've found is Apple takes a little bit longer to incorporate the changes, but you just open up the Maps app, you click the little eye on a listing for a business, and then in the lower right, you see this report an issue, and then it says, hey, what's wrong with the listing? Is it closed? Do the hours need updating? And so I always tell people to check their listing for their business in multiple places, on Apple, on Google, on even Yelp. So Facebook, updating your Facebook hours. And this is the most critical thing for me as a destination leader is people will update their hours on one of these platforms. And it leaves your consumers to guess which hours are correct. So I would suggest that we have our businesses make a checklist of where to update their hours when, say, they open for expanded hours this spring. And Yelp. I had a restaurant owner tell me last week they changed their hours, and I said, "Did you update it on Yelp?" And he said, "I don't use Yelp. We don't have a Yelp." And I said, "Well, Yelp has a listing for you, whether you know it or not." So it's important for restaurants, whether they like their reviews on there, whether they reply, it's important that they claim ownership of a listing, if nothing more than to update the factual information about it. So this is where I say sync all your information, your website hours, your Google My Business, your Facebook, even your Instagram, your Yelp. TripAdvisor is another platform that likely has a listing for your business, whether you know it or not. You can also just go to Google and type in your business name and hours and see what other websites you might need to update with your most up-to-date information. So it just creates consistency across the board. Usually you just think to update one or two of these, but when there's different hours, people start, asking which is correct. So social media, I know that, it's no longer optional for businesses to be on social media. So I've put together just a few points. We could talk for an hour or two, at length about this. But I tell people to find an online content calendar, which really, it just puts posts in there for you. A lot of business owners, they work during the week at their own businesses. So spend an hour on Sunday creating Facebook post or Instagram post. I like later.com because it's one of the more affordable ones. It's $12 a month. And you can just schedule and post for Instagram and Facebook. Vary up the content so you're not posting the same thing to Facebook and Instagram. I mean, you can, but people like different platforms. They like to see different things on there. And if your businesses aren't sure what to post, or they feel like they always post the same thing. So as a destination, one day we post about culinary, one day about hiking, one day about Waterfall Wednesday, sunsets, trip ideas. So for restaurants, it could be specials, it could be entrees, it could be contest, any sort of topical thing. And there's content calendars online for free that you can easily go and say, what should I post on Wednesday? And it takes the guesswork out of having to be creative when you're working 12 hours at your business. You get off work and all you want to do is relax, and then you have to do social media too. So it takes the guesswork out of it. And I like the bottom quote, and I forget who told me this, but a goal without a plan is just a wish. So if you have the goal of growing your social media or consumer following, but you don't actually put together a plan for it, you're just making a wish. So placemaking. So placemaking is really just about, it's a relatively new term that we use in tourism, but it's really about defining your community and what you have that are assets that you can leverage or create within your community. An example of placemaking could be installing wayfinding signage along a greenway. It can be public art displays that you put in. So Corina and I are going to go through some examples of things we've done, and we just hope that it jogs, or starts an idea chain in your head about what you can own in your community that you have that you can sell your community to others. Because we're all rural destinations. I think something like 80% of North Carolina is rural. So what does your destination have that you can own? And it doesn't have to be an expensive project. Some of these examples are low cost to free, and it just starts with coming up with an idea. So during COVID-19, This is me second from the left and my sales and marketing manager on the left, and our great Chamber of Commerce here on the right. But we said we've got all these restaurants offering brunch in Silva and Dillsboro. There's probably like 10 of them. But you know, people on Sunday, they're like, where can I grab brunch? So they turn to Google, they turn to Yelp. So we created these bright A-frame signs. They were around $2,000. We bought them, 12 of them or 13 of them for $2,000. We gave them to all the businesses, and they've seen a lot of traffic as a result. You have these bright signs identifying businesses as people would normally just pass through downtown to get somewhere. They say, oh, Silva has brunch, let's stop and grab a bite. They stop and grab a bite, and guess what? They see another business open and they shop. So you're not going to have a brunch scene in Silva or any town unless you start promoting it, you start marketing it, and you can create a campaign very inexpensively. This is a copy of the signage that is displayed along our main street. So you see people driving by, see this, they pull over, they spend money, which is our goal. It's cash in hand economic development at its finest. We have breweries. Well, guess what? Every town in the South now has a brewery. So what can you do with breweries? We made an ale trail. So we created the logo on the left, we created a trail map on the right, and we actually see people pick these trail maps up, put them in their purse. But on the trail map, we don't just talk about the beers. We talk about the shopping and dining scene in Silva. We talk about other assets that we have that, while visiting a brewery, they may have not even cared about, but then in their head they go, oh, we should hike that mountain the next time we're here, or let's do this. Okay, the first thing that a visitor does when they get to a destination and they come in our visitor center is they ask, what's there to do and where should we eat? And I do the same thing when I'm on a trip. You know, the most important part of my trip is food, really, to be honest. So you want to know where's there good food and what's there to do. Well, in Cashers, we have this incredibly spread out community. It's all mountains and there's nothing really walkable. So we created this map with all of our assets that people, we picked our top 10 or 15 assets that people constantly ask, what should we see and how do I get there? And this is the back side of the map, but we actually hand this map out now more than our own visitor guide because it's the most popular map we've created. We worked with a local artist, he drew these sketches, and so that's a project that is really, it took a while to do, but it pays dividends. The next one is, we came up with this idea to become the hammock capital of North Carolina. All you need is 2 trees and a hammock. So it's a really easy idea, but we branded ourselves as the hammock capital. Now, anybody can call themselves anything. We just decided to do it first. Any town and any community can become known for something. You just have to come up with that idea. So we actually launched this whole campaign. It was due to launch during COVID-19. We were going to bring in influencers and mail journalists these hammocks, but instead we pivoted, as we all did, and I hate that word, it's so overused for 2020, but we did a hang in there campaign during COVID-19, and we gave away a free hammock on social media from, I believe, about Labor Day to, or Memorial Day to Labor Day. Every week we did social media giveaways. We did a blog, this is why you should adventure the hammock adventure, why you should visit the hammock adventure capital of the USA. So whatever you have in your community, own it. Stake a claim, and you know, on social media, this is what we did. Our giveaway for the hammock capital, you can see that giveaways are huge. People want to win free stuff. 1,579 comments of people wanting to win that one weekly hammock giveaway. Another thing that we did during COVID-19, we created an accessibility guide. This is a project that anyone can do, and it just takes time, and we partnered with our local university and a number of other partners because 1/4 of the people in the southern US have some sort of disability. and people coming to your community want to know what's accessible. So you see the photo on the right, it's of the sandy swim beach. Well, believe it or not, that's a accessible fishing pier in the background, and it's fully accessible. So we created this guide. It took about 9 months. All it really took was time and the paper it's printed on. So these types of projects are things that people appreciate, they want in your community. And I believe my favorite quote, a presenter at a conference I went to said, you know, with COVID-19, if all we do is bring back tourism, shame on us, because it's an opportunity to do so much more than bring back business. Projects like the accessibility guide, community placemaking, there's so much opportunity there more than just bringing back visitors. And Corina, I'll turn it over to you for this section.
Awesome, thank you, Nick. I'm stealing some of your ideas. Wait, I don't call it stealing, I call it borrowing. So we created a program, obviously quite a few different programs as well, but I'm going to start with Our eCity. And this is definitely owning something in our own neighborhood. So we are known, at least locally, as the Harbor of Hospitality. We're on the Intracoastal Waterway, and you can actually, if you're on a boat, spend 2 nights here for free. And that's kind of where that nickname came from. But our locals have truly embraced, pausing for a second. I don't know where the M went. It was there earlier, but that's okay. It's ourecity.com. Our locals have really embraced being part of the Harbor of Hospitality and truly love their own community. So for us, what we did, and this is, as Nick mentioned, something that was no cost, is we reached out to a handful of what we call our famous locals. On the right, our mayor, and on the left, a local artist who born and raised here. She's opened a business here, and she is raising her family here. There's quite a few others, and we asked them to write a blog about why they love our town. Didn't cost us anything. Everybody that we asked said absolutely, wrote these beautiful stories, and now they're also helping us push these stories out. So what this took, to the next point, was time and a little bit of effort, but it's a way of embracing. Does everybody love our town? Of course not. Are there naysayers in town? Unfortunately. But let's tap into those ones who are uber positive and love our community and get them to help us get our word out. On top of that, this program really aligned with what the research was telling us in 2020, which was, I'm not traveling, I'm not going anywhere, I'm going to stay in my own town. Well, if you're going to stay in your own town, let's help you know everything that there is to do here. For all that people love town, it's amazing how much they don't know how many restaurants we have, that we have a brewery down this super cool alley. It blows my mind how much people don't know. So this is an opportunity for us to be hyper-focused on locals. Go ahead to the next slide. We also expanded this program, you can do the second one too, a little bit. We did invest some money with some grant dollars, and we bought some swag, some t-shirts and some cups, and we engaged with people on social media to post pictures about why they love our town, that sort of thing. So now it's kind of fun to walk down the street and see somebody wearing the Our eCity t-shirt. And come spring, we're going to push them out a little bit more. We still have some left. So Ginger, we can figure out a way to get those t-shirts out. We also created a really neat, incredibly inexpensive send a postcard campaign. So, okay, nobody was traveling in 2020, but you know, the #1 reason people plan to travel in 2021 is to see friends and family. Well, what better place to visit your friends and family than to invite them to your own town? So we created these postcards, very affordable, and we're encouraging our locals to mail them to their friends and family, inviting them to come visit. So there's a lot of different ways you can involve, and actually I think I saw a question pop up about locals, so hopefully I'm answering some of your questions, but involve your locals with some money, but not a lot. Go ahead to our next slide. We also had great engagement. We just created that silly little picture frame, and we walked around for First Friday, which I think most of you know, if you have a small town, First Friday, art walk, you know, businesses are open late, there's artists out, that kind of a thing. And people wanted to take a picture with the frame. They wanted to post their pictures on social media. Even Santa wanted to come visit with our eCity. So going ahead. Another program that we did, and this was after we had launched our eCity, so we branded it with the same logo, but this was an entirely different program. We were lucky enough to get some grant money because of COVID, which, by the way, tourism development authorities, DMOs, almost never get grant money because of how we're funded. So this was a super unique opportunity for us. And we paid for the technology to do a mobile pass. And what we created with the pass was a shop and dine pass. We launched it right before Thanksgiving. And obviously the focus at that point was shop local, dine local, get out and support our local businesses. Again, it aligned with the research telling us that people weren't going to go shop elsewhere. They would shop online. And we were trying to get people to shop in person in our community. This one took a fair amount of time to get our businesses to sign up. There was no agreement or anything we needed from the business. We just needed a photo and for them to put that poster up in their shop and to help us promote this pass. We had 40 businesses sign up in a very short window of time. Go ahead to the next slide. And we created a landing page on our website and also the mobile pass. And I want to pause here for a moment. We launched this web page on November 23rd. When I looked at our analytics for all 12 months of calendar year 2020, this was the #2 page, visited page on our website as a landing page. On top of that, and I know Nick knows this, people were spending over 3 minutes on this page on a mobile device. That is unheard of. So what it tells us is our locals and our nearby towns wanted this product. They used the product, they consumed the content, and they actually went and visited a fair amount of those 40 businesses. This allowed us to partner with our local businesses and to support them. And we really leveraged those 40 businesses to get the word out about this pass, which allowed us to invest our money in the technology and a little bit less in the advertising. So partnerships are huge all the time, no matter how you're putting things together. So go ahead. And so this is going to continue to talk about partnerships, and I apologize for all the words, but this is a brand new project that has not gone live yet, but it's going to speak to placemaking, to the need to collaborate, whether you're a small mom and pop business, you're a small rural destination, or you are a big destination like Dare. So the 5 counties, Camden, Chowan, Currituck, Dare, and Pasquotank, are working together to launch something called the African American Experience of Northeast North Carolina. Our 5 counties are incredibly rich in African American heritage and history, and we also have an amazing number currently of Black-owned businesses. And there is no resource for anybody to find that content all in one place. It is very disparate. So the 5 of us, the 5 tourism offices, have agreed to work together to pool our resources and launch this program. Hopefully it will launch on Juneteenth of 2021. So please stay tuned for that. But this wouldn't happen if we didn't all see such a need for sharing this content, curating it into one place, and placemaking all of Northeastern North Carolina. Hopefully this will actually spread throughout the entire state as we keep going. But these sorts of programs And I know a lot of the ideas Nick and I both shared were very destination organization focused, but if you think through the lens of, I own a wine bar, I like that wine bar. What can I do? Can I work with my neighbor who's right next door? Can I work with the cookie shop that's around the corner? What can the 3 little businesses do to help cross promote each other? It doesn't have to be across counties. It doesn't have to be at the destination level. Individual businesses can find that one niche thing that they all have in similar, that they all have in alignment with each other, and then promote it together. So I think I will pause there. That's a whole lot of ideas. I think the last couple of slides, Nick, we just have some resources for everybody. And I know Nick just shared the link to the presentation earlier when he was talking about Google My Business and TripAdvisor and Facebook. There's a whole bunch of hyperlinks for you guys. If you're going, I don't know where to find all that stuff, we put it in the deck for you. And I think, Nick, unless there's anything you want to add, we're probably going to open it up for questions.
Yeah, I would just add to what you said about creating those experiences. We had the breweries in town and we had chocolate shops. We actually came up with a chocolate and beer pairing that could be picked up at either location any time of the year, and you create that experience for people. Just briefly before questions, these are our resources. These, we realize not every county under 50,000 has a DMO or a CVB. These are all different resources that will help destinations thrive. They are the best resources. Visit North Carolina is our state marketing organization. STS and DI really support the work of marketing organizations for a community. The NC Rural Center, your local RPO or MPO is terrific at helping you put together a plan. Say you need to do a tourism strategic plan or sustainability. They can help you with that. So can the ARC. And NC State University is always reaching out to me to see if they can help with some project that we need done. They have interns, they're willing to help. And these are resources Corina put together, links to TripAdvisor, Google, Count on Me NC, Facebook, and identifying your business as Black owned. Let's see.
So Todd, were you gonna ask us questions, or how do you want us to?
I'd love to go back. Nick answered a great question from Eric about effective ways to get local residents, not just businesses, to promote safe travel, being, COVID conscious right now, when especially you've got certain businesses and community leaders that are not on the same page. And I think the way you guys are describing putting together some of those things might be the way to go, right?
I like to keep, anytime I've been asked that question, it's all focused on economics and getting more customers to your business. There are, different varying opinions on the virus, on the vaccine, on masks, on safety. If I've got 90% of consumers saying I'm worried about safety and only 10% that aren't, I would recommend that all of our businesses go with the 90. It's about economics.
And I think the research I saw last showed that I almost want to say 2/3 of travelers are more likely to visit a destination where they see safety practices put in place for their protection. So how your community presents itself will determine where people spend their money.
Jackie asks, any thoughts or experience with agritourism?
So NC Farms is actually heading up a great agritourism app, which will, they're working with every county. And if you look up NC Farms, they've got an entire website built out that communities can participate in and list all their farms. They really want experiences for people. So farmers markets are great, but communities have things like there's, I believe in Brevard, Killer Bee Honey, where you can actually take tours and see how the honey is made and things like that. So they really want experiences for visitors, but agritourism is huge. And we do promote, in our destination, we promote all of our farmers markets on our website, but people are seeking out those new experiences, like seeing how honey is made, for example.
The website's visitncfarmstoday.com. And like you said, they have an app that they're populating, and that's through NC Agriculture. The department's got a, and that's the niches like you were describing too are good resources as well for the different industries, right? All right. We're almost to lunchtime. Any other questions? This is a lot of great information in a real short amount of time. And it's good to see all these examples. People have asked, we will have all this stuff updated, and they've already given you, they already had the slides already up and ready to go. So you can get them yourselves as you go to the website there, and get all those great links and everything. One that I know it's tough because Google's very easy. You can access it anywhere. Apple, because not everybody's Apple. I'm trying to remember the website. It is, if you go to mapsconnect.apple.com, you have to create an Apple account essentially, but it allows you, like you guys are describing, to control that as well, because not everybody's, got an iPhone or an iPad, so they don't necessarily. But like you said, you want to make sure you're hitting all those different map directory sites. I know back in the day they used to steal it from Yelp, but I'm not sure if they still do that anymore. But like you said, Yelp, TripAdvisor, all those other sites are great. Oh, hang on, I got a question. Mobile business without a physical location. Any suggestions with making sure we're visible online, since we wouldn't show up on sites like we were just talking about?
So that's a great question. Google actually has a preference when you're setting up your Google My Business that you serve customers at their location, and it provides a radius around a zip code that you can define. We had a lot of businesses try to put themselves on our main street just so they get that real estate frontage, which just confuses people. So, but Google does have that setting that you meet customers at their location. So that would be of use. And Todd, you reminded me, one site that people also need to check their information on is Bing, B-I-N-G. That's pre-installed with all Microsoft computers, and restaurant listings on Bing and retail listings, they pull from another source than Google. So it's critical to check there as well.
On the mobile business question, I would also add, have your own website so that you do have the ability to show up in any searches, and also have your own social media channel. And they are separate necessary items. You cannot say, oh, I have a Facebook page, I don't need a website. That is very not true. You really need to have both your own website that you own and social, so that you can engage with people.
Any last questions? Or at the last minute, I'm going to steal the screen for 1 second to remind folks who to contact at your local level. There it goes. So if you can't be with us, we will be here Thursday. If you have a couple of questions, I know I had a couple of questions from folks who weren't going to be able to be here today, but wanted to make sure. Contact your local SBC director if you have other questions. And kudos to the great plug from Corina about remembering, if you need help with a lot of this direct kind of stuff and you don't have experience, your local director is more than happy to help you out with that, and or get you hooked up with somebody who can. Any last questions? I'm trying to get to the chat. Sorry.
Todd, one thing that we talked about previously with you that we failed to mention is in a lot of counties, we may not have an organization like us that does all the marketing and management, but what we found in Western North Carolina, and I'm sure it's the same down east, is a neighboring county that can help you do a lot of these things or share information with you how to get started. Right. So it's that collaboration. I know in Western North Carolina, our neighbors are technically my competition in terms of them getting the visitor versus us. But I share every tip, secret, information bit that I have with all of the directors in my role around me. That's just what we do. So seek out those people who are your neighbors, and they're more than willing to help.
To tag on to that, I don't think I've met a destination marketing / management person who does not share information. We are an incredibly collaborative industry across the country, and it's one of the things that I enjoy the most about working in this field is how you can pick up the phone and call somebody, in Huntington Beach and say, "Can you help me with this?" And they're like, "Yeah." So ask your neighbors, they will help you.
Awesome. I guess we got no other questions. We're just past 12. Guys, this was awesome. You guys, like I said, tons of stuff. And if anybody missed anything, we'll be back here Thursday with a couple of follow-up questions. I had a few from a couple of folks who couldn't be here today. And if anything spurs anything, hit us up. We'll be more than happy to help you out. Guys, thanks again.
Thank you. Thank you, Corina and Nick. It was absolutely awesome. I've already copied your links so we can get them posted up on our Facebook page for the Small Business Center. Awesome job, guys. Great. Nick, now I'm ready to come to the mountains, and Tiffany's going to take me down the side of a mountain or somewhere.
Safely, of course.
Safely, of course.
We need to get you a hammock, Ginger.
After we go get some marshmallows.
Right.
Nick, her favorite's the Baxley's marshmallows.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
All right. Thanks, guys. And for everybody else who's on, and just to tack it on, you'll be getting a survey here shortly. Make sure you hit us up so we know. And if you have any other suggestions for going forward, we want to hear them. Thanks. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.